Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to understand the software development life cycle. So it's basically with respect to interview. There's some interview questions which are commonly asked related to software development life cycle. Let's understand what is the software development life cycle. So basically, the wait a minute. I'll just highlight the things. Huh. So the software development lifecycle is a systematic process of developing applications. Suppose if you are building any application, there should be a proper way to just process like building the any software. We can't sit and directly building any softwares. There are some set of rules which we have to follow to build a good softwares, because what happened, like if I'm building any software, so first of all I have to know that what I'm going to build. So for that I have to gather some information, so we have to work upon the small modules. This is the basic structure which we have to follow. That structure is provided by the software development lifecycle. So that's why it is also called a structured approach that ensure that the quality and correctness of the software throughout its development process. Let's understand, when we are building the software without the SDLC, what happened? We don't know what we are going to build. We are just sit and just try to build any software. So it's not the good approach to just building any software. But the SDLC provides the basic outlines, you can just say outlines of the steps and the stages which are involved in the development of the software system. And it provide the initial planning and how you are going to gather the requirements and the design and development testing, etc. So let's understand, there are few phases in the software development life cycle. First is the requirement gathering. So what happened in the requirement gathering? First, before building the software, we have to understand what we are going to build. So with respect to that, you are going to gather the requirement. Like if I am the developer, so I'll go for the stakeholder and the user and ask for their requirement, like what their requirement is. Then after that, we will go to the system design. We can't jump to directly system design before knowing, because not knowing the requirements. So first step of the SDLC cycle is requirement gathering. This is the first step. Sorry, I can just put this one. This is the basically first step, where we go to the stakeholder and users and define needs of the projects. After the requirement gathering, we move to the system design phase. What happened in the system design phase? We already have all the requirement from the stakeholder and the users. We'll just plan that our system architecture and the models, like what will be the overall architecture of our system, what we are going to build, and what each model will do. That comes under the system design part. And after system designing, we will go to the implementation phase, where developer will write some code to build that particular application and the software. Then after that, the next fourth phase comes under the testing phase. After building that software or application which you are building, so after that we will check that the whatever we build, it's actually matching with the whatever the requirement we had, or we just missing something. So after the testing phase, we move to the next phase, which is deployment, where the actual application is launched and it will be available to the end user stakeholders. So after that, the every this the next steps comes under the maintenance. After the deployments, the you know that our application have many bugs, so we are keep updating the bugs, that if there is any changes, we are keep updating. And for that, we again start the loop. Suppose we in the maintenance phase we got a bug, so we gather the requirements, like this is the bug. So after that, we design the system so that we will not get this bug again. So we'll write the code and the test and then deploy. These cycles keep on going and going. There are few frameworks, actually we just say, so which it's used for the software development lifecycle. The first one is waterfall model. Wait a minute. Yeah. The first one is waterfall model. Waterfall model says that it's a actually very oldest and simplest SDLC models. It is a linear and sequential approach where each phase must be completed before the next phase begin. What it means, like, this waterfall model this follows the same cycle, but the thing is, like, if you have the you saw the waterfall, why how the waterfall happened, like one after another, like I have the example, like I can just give, where is the pencil? Yeah. So how waterfall happens, like this 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 this, so it's keep on going like this, like this. If water comes down, we can't go back. Okay, the same thing happened with the waterfall model also. For in the first page, we gather the requirement, all the requirements which are necessary. Then after that, we go to the system design part. Once we enter to the system design part, we can't come back to the requirement gathering. So it will give the rigidness to this model, because it's the oldest model and simplest model as the SDLC. So the same phases is also there, like first is requirement analysis, and second is the system design, implementation, integration and testing, means validation, sorry, integration, testing, and the deployment and maintenance. But the difference is, once we enter to any phases, we can't go back. This is the drawback of this model. uh, and the advantage, if you are talking about the advantage, it's a simple or easy to understand because no complexity is there. But the thing is, if you are going to implement this model, you have to very sure about your requirements. Like if you have the very specific requirement that this, only this much requirement I have, only the, then you will follow, you can follow that waterfall model. But if you're in your software, the requirements keep on updating, like in the after the 1 month, 2 month, 1 week, 2 weeks, the requirements keep on coming. So I suggest don't follow the waterfall model. There are some other models which helps to in the SDLC life cycle. So the advantage, as I told, that simple and easy to understand, and it's clearly defined the phases and making it easy to manage, and works well for the smaller project. As I told, that for the smaller project the requirement will be very less, so we can just follow that SDLC model for your software development. And when we talking about the disadvantage, as I told about, it is inflexible. Means after the one phase is completed, revisiting is difficult. We can't go back to the previous state, means previous page. So not ideal for the project with uncertain requirement. As I told before, that if your requirement is fixed, then you can go with this waterfall model. But if your requirement is not fixed and your the requirements is keep on updating, so this is not ideal model to follow. And the testing happen late in the process, which lead to the costly and time consuming. And use case, if you will just say, like for the smaller project, you can use, because it's a well defined and a stable requirement you need. And projects where detailed documentation and clear pages are crucial, such as government and regulatory environment, there you can use. The next model comes under the agile model, which is the uh, commonly asked question in the interview. So this is the agile model is a highly flexible, iterable, and incremental. Let's understand each one by one. First, flexible. I told that if the requirements is keep on updating, and the previous model is not flexible, because after going to the suppose this is the my first step, and this is the my second step, then this is my third step. So after going to this step, we can't go back to the previous state. So that happened with the waterfall model. But what agile model said, it is a flexible. Suppose if I go to the this state, so I have, if I'll just get the requirement, I can go to the previous state. That represent the flexibility. And what is iterative? Iterative represents, like if I have the 5 cycles, which I told that these are the five cycles like requirement, system design, implementation, testing. These are keep on iterating and iterating. Suppose in the first iteration, these are our requirement. That requirement is fulfilled till the deployment. Then again we got the any other requirement. Then again this cycle keep on iterating. Thus bring the concept of iterative and incremental, means every cycle, every iteration, the new updation will be launched. So that comes under the agile model. Like as I'm explaining once, the agile model is highly flexible, which you know already, the iterative and the incremental approach to the software development. And what happened, the agile model emphasizes the collaboration and customer feedback and the continuous delivery of working software. What happened, like in the if you am comparing with the previous model, in the previous model the collaboration is less, means if the requirement is fixed we can't go to the previous state. But in this way the collaboration is there and customer feedback is there. Like if I got the requirement from the customer side, so I can just keep on updating for the in the software, so that we can deliver the final product to the user which they want. And let's understand the first how it's work. So agile development in the very short iterative cycles known as sprint. This is the most common question, like they can ask like what is sprints in the agile model. This is the like phases, we can just say, like this is the 4 week, this can be sprint, is the can be the 1 to 4 week plan where we'll do this all the thing whatever phases I told, like gathering, planning, designing, development, testing, all the phases will be done in the sprint. In the one sprint can be a 1 to 4 weeks of durations. Let's understand the each phases one by one. So first page is sprint planning. What happens is here the team collaborate and identify which feature will be developed in the upcoming sprint. So this comes under the sprint planning, and the next phase will be the design and design development phase. Here the team develops the features and the functionality agreed upon the during the sprint planning. Whatever they planned in the sprint planning, that the same thing have implemented and designed in the second phase. And after that, the same thing we have to do whatever we are doing in the previous, like testing. So software is tested after each sprint to ensure that it meets the requirement. And how the thing is, like each sprint can be loop iteratively, just like here already saying, like iterative cycles known as the sprint. Each cycle is known as a one sprint. There will be the multiple sprint. Each sprint can be a duration of 1 to 4 weeks. That you have to understand. And the next phase is like review and feedback. After the testing, the product will go to the reviewed by the stakeholder and collect the feedback. And if there any update, so we will keep on updating to the next sprint. Then same thing happened from that sprint planning, that we got the feedback and we are keep updating the features. Like if I got any update from the stakeholder and the user side, once the minimum viable products is completed, it can release to the client or users. So there is one other question, like someone, if you are going to the any IT for industry for the interview, they can ask about the, if you are going for the any product based company, they can ask like what is the MVP. They will not ask directly minimal viable product. They will ask like what is MVP in the software development lifecycle. So you can just say like it's a minimal viable product. This means the minimal viable product which represents the what is it, suppose I have the product, I will not build the all whole product at a one time. If I have the small prototype, this also consider as the minimal viable product which I can just represent to the world so that they can use. This comes under the minimal viable products. So as I told that this cycle repeat each point, each sprint. After each sprint, the team evaluate the product and they adjust the next phases based on the feedback in changing requirements. Okay, so let's understand the advantage. As you know that it's a highly flexible and allowing changes throughout the project, and the continuous delivery of projects softwares, which means user can start using the product early. If I have the requirement,
I'll work on the two requirements and release the product to the user so that users can understand use. And each and every sprint we will keep on updating the software. But what happened in the waterfall model, what the flaw is in the waterfall model, you have to very clear about your requirements. If your requirements is very clear, then you can just go for the other phases. But here, if you have some few requirements like two or three requirements, you can just directly go. And the other disadvantage is like uh, requires close and continuous collaboration with the customer, which may not always feasible because you have to be very updated to the customer, that if you don't have the proper communication with the customer and you are not able to understand the customer requirements, so that will also lead to a problem. And every time to communicating with a customer also with the it's not feasible, and can lead to other, and this can lead to the scope creep if changes made too frequently. If some user came and continuously changing the changing the requirement, that's also it's not good. Because if you have the requirement, if sprint is started, you can't just stop in the middle of sprint. You have to complete that sprint, then you can go for the other requirement. But if user continuously changing their requirement, that it leads to a problem and ambiguity. That lack of detailed documentation can lead to the harder to track the project progress and the deliverability. That's why the documentation should be very simpler, so that the whole SDLC agile process should be very easy. The use case is projects with changing and unclear requirement. If I have the very small requirement initially, I just want to what you say so to the end user, so I can just use the agile process. And projects where the client feedback and quick iterations are essential, that time we can just use the agile model. And software that need the frequent updates and improvements, such as the mobile apps and the SaaS platform, for that we can just use the agile model. Next comes under the iterative model. Iterative model you already know. It's a similar to the agile model only, but it's a less rigid, and it's in its approach. It emphasizes the repetitive life cycle, which represent iterative models and testing, allowing software to evolve. Wait a minute. Yeah. Agile model is less rigid in its approach. It emphasizes repeating cycle in the development and testing, allows software to evolve throughout the successive refinement. Each iteration result is a part of system being delivered to the stakeholder for the feedback. After each cycle, we will go the result will go to the user and the stakeholder. They will give the feedback of that. After that, next iteration, the whatever the requirement they told, means whatever the updates they told, then we work on that. That comes under the iterative model. Is similar to the agile model only, but it's a less rigid. And how it's work is the same thing as we are previously discussing, like planning, design and development, testing, and then after each iteration. Okay. The advantage, if you are talking about it allows flexible in terms of adding new features, refining the system. Earlier versions of the software can be shown stakeholder to get feedback. If I have any software which I just want to show as early as possible, so that stakeholder or user get some idea about my project, so we can just use the iterative model, because each iteration we are keep updating the requirements. And the earlier versions of the software can be also shown to the stakeholder to get feedback. And risk is spread across the iteration, with each iteration delivering part of the functionality. And when you are talking about the disadvantages, can become overly complex if too many iterations are needed. If for a single requirement, if you are keep iterating, that time it will become the very complex. And the process of reworking, yeah, can be very complex if too many iterations are needed. The process of reworking and refining software may lead to the excessive cost and time delay. Okay. And the next disadvantage is like it evolves, change may causes inconsistency across the different part of the systems. Okay, if you're talking about the use cases, the project that requires flexibility and adaptability, that time we can just go with the iterative model. And the software that need to evolve based on ongoing user feedback, just notice on that, ongoing user feedback, that time we can just use for iterative model. So next model comes under the V model. It's a verification and the validation model. What happened, it's look like a V. I can just draw here also. The same phases whatever what we studied, that phases will only be there. Like it's look like like in this one the requirement analysis, system design and the coding parts come. And the here in the right part of the V, that V unit testing, integration testing and system testing comes under. So what V model represents, it's a extension of waterfall model, that you have to note that, because they can ask that what is the extension of the waterfall model. The V model is the extension of waterfall model, is give the some more advantage, so that you can, if you want to change anything, you can just change it in the middle. So at emphasizes the relationship between development phase and the testing phase. That's a very important part, because left part of the V represent the development phases and the right part of the V represent the testing phases. So I'll not bore with this video. So I have the some Geeksforgeeks reference. You can just follow this one. Yeah, this one. Here you can just expect. So first we are understanding the left part of the V, where is the requirement analysis, which you already know. Then system design, architecture design, and the model designs and the coding. Till here you understand that system design. The system design represent the what are the after the requirement analysis, how our system look like. Then we will design the architecture of our software, like how the overall system architecture should be look like. Then after building the overall architecture of the software, we will work on the individual modules, because suppose I am building any software like Amazon. So after that, there will be the many models, like small models, like you can just say cart models, shopping models, payment models. So we will work on each and every. We will design the each and every models. After doing all the designing and the requirement phase, we will go to the coding. Then after that, with respect to that, we added a testing phase. Suppose after the coding, first we will unit testing. What unit testing is, like in the unit testing, we will test the each individual model, that each individual model, suppose add card, payment, each individual model is working fine or not. If is there any work, we will resolve here only. And after the that unit testing, it comes under the integration testing. In the architecture design, what we done the all the we designed the overall architecture of the system. So here integration testing, we will check that after integrating each model, the overall system is working fine or not. I think you are able to get the my point. Like in the architecture design, we design the overall architecture of the system design, then we work on the each model of the software. In the testing part, first we test the each individual model, that each individual model is working individually correct or not. Then after that, we integrated all the models and test that after integration, is there any error or not, is there any flaw, then we will just work on that. After that, we will check the system testing. In the system design, what we done, we build the overall system design, and we here in the system testing, we check that we are really what the system design we done, we are getting that system back or not. And the last thing, acceptance testing. Here what are the requirements we got from the user and the stakeholder. Here we will check that we are actually getting that we just completed their requirement or not, means how much we are able to complete that requirement. So this gives for this reference, you can just follow. There are much more things, like if you just study about the unit testing, integration testing, you can just read this. I'll give the link of this in the description. Okay, let's come back to the originals. So these are the V models. In the V model, left part represents the development part, and the right means verification or validation. It's also known as verification and validation, where we build the models, and in the right side of the V, we'll just test the model that it's really meeting the requirement or not. So advantage is like, sorry, so here we are getting early testing allow issue to be detected, because after a suppose I created a small models, each model I am testing before integrating. So that's the major advantage, and clearly defined steps and deliverable makes it easier to manage and effective for the smaller projects where the requirements are well understood and unlikely to the change, because it's an extension of the V model. So here the requirements should be very clear, but it gives a better extension. It's the extension of waterfall model, so it gives the additional functionality to, as compared to the waterfall model. So the disadvantages, it's a, as the waterfall model is also rigid and rigid, that this model is also rigid and difficult to change once the project is in the later stage. If the project requirement is already start, because we can't go back. Suppose I, if I am here only, so I can't go back. Okay. Okay. Then where, what is the disadvantage? It's not ideal for the large projects with evolving requirements. Okay, so it does not handle the change bells, especially if the requirement is unclear and the during development phases. Huge, if you are talking about huge cases, it uses for the smaller project well defined requirements, and for this you can just, it give the additional functionality to just for testing only. And the other is projects where the high level of testing and validation is required, that time you can just go with the V models. So this is the SDLC. So let's understand once, like what we are discussed till now. So like yeah, this is the SDLC lifecycle. There are six lifecycle requirements in the system design, implementation, testing, deployment, and maintenance. After that, we understand about the waterfall model. It's very simple and the simplest and the oldest SDLC model. It's follow the linear and sequential approach, and each if one phase is completed and we went to the another phase, we can't come back to the previous phase. This is the flaw. If we are talking about the agile model, it's a flexible, iterative, and incremental approach that's comes under the that brings a new concept as sprints. In the each sprint, we work on the sprint planning, design, testing, review, and feedback, and the release. And the release, we will release, we can release the MVP of the our product, and each sprint can be a duration of 1 to 4 weeks. And when after that we understand the iterative approach, it's similar to agile model, but it's a less rigid as compared to the agile model. And after that we understand the V model, verification and validation models, where the left part of the represent the development phase of the software, and the right part of the V model represent the testing phase, and it is the extension of waterfall models. That's it.